Hi, I'm the student Breno Lopes Mafra, and today I'm going to be showing the assignment 2 for Comp3122. So we have two parts. The part A is about the data set that we have to search on the internet and perform a decision tree. And the part B that we have a CSV, then we have to check all the data and performing functions to see the statistics. So here on part A, as we do in the labs, I started importing all the necessary libraries, so sklearn, also the pandas. Then I load the CSV. I had to do this a coding here, so the file could read the CSV. Then I just print the shape and the list of columns. Also the head, that is the first 5 lines of the database. Then, to perform a decision tree model, I have to remove the not a number values and defining features. So here I choose the temperature, the oxygen, and the pulse rate to evaluate, and also set the target variable, that is the result. In this part, we learned with Mark in the lab week 6 that we have to train and test data. Also, Layli said that we have to always make like 70% training data and 30% test data. So here we have all the necessary variables. Now that we have everything sorted, not a number values taken out, then we can train the decision tree model. So here it is. I put model.fit with the X train and the Y train with a random state equal 1. To evaluate the model's accuracy, I imported the accuracy score function from sklearn. Then I could put the y-test and y-predict. Then I could print the accuracy, that it's equal 1.0. Here for part B, we start the same way, importing the CSV file and printing the first 5 rows of this dataset. The first thing it asks us to do is to remove the model column. I remember the week 4 that we learned functions like drop, group by, and describe as well. So here I use the drop functions to drop the column with the name model. I could confirm it to see if it's true or false if the model column is in the columns of the data frame. The second step is to remove all the symbols from the data of the data frame. So doing this, we are cleaning the data, just letting all the strings without symbols. Here also asks us about the data type. I could see that it's still a object data type, but with the clean strings. Here I used the S type to convert the cost column to integer. We learned it with Mark on lab week 5. Then here I just printed the new data type of the column cost. Here we can also see the average cost using the min function. And here I print the average per continent as well using the group by function. Those functions, I choose to use them here because we could learn in the labs that we can use group by to wrap up more than one column and see its metrics. Here in question 5, I could remember the week number 3 that we started doing plots. So here what I did is I used the group by function again. Then I took the mean of this, and then the plot is here, dot plot, and the kind I specify that it's the kind bar. Then here you can see the chart. On lab week 4 with Mark, we also learned about the value counts that counts every single value and wrap it up based on the column that we specify here. This case is the continent, so it's gonna count how many times each continent appears in the continent column. Here on the lab of week 7, we learned about the unique functions and n-unique functions. The difference between them is that the n-unique shows us the number. That's why the n. And then, as the name says, it just displays the unique values in the column. But in this case, is the continent column. So you can see that the column has 7 continents. Here in question 8, we use again the value counts function on the cost table of the database. Here we're gonna plot the second chart of the activity. This time I could put the kind as hist, that it could be a histogram of the column cost of the database. Here, the bins equal 50 means that we use 50 data to plot the histogram. Histogram help us here to see the frequency of each one of the 50 rows of cost. Here, as we did in the lab week 2, at the beginning of the course, we use the sum function to sum up all we need. In this case, is the null values of the zip code and type columns in the data frame. So here we use a Boolean function that is null, so we can sum up all the data that has null values. Then, as we did in the lab week 4, here we could use the drop in function, the drop in A, to drop all the not a number data or not a number rows in the data frame. So here I call this function before calling the length of the data frame. So this number 939 is the number of rows without any missing values. Here on question 12, we use the describe functions to show the statistics, and this part is include equal all means that it's including all the not a number values. And here in the column type, we use the fill and a function to replace the missing type values with this, the triple X. And here the describe function show us how many rows are in it, the unique values, top, and also the frequency with the data type. Here, as we learned in the labs, we take the ilog function, but we take the index 0 and the index 2, which means the first and the third column, because the first column always starts on the index 0. So we have to take care to not make mistakes in this part. And to finish, I use the sort index that we learned in the lab and the lecture with Laylee to sort the value counts of each continent by the frequency, and then the second line here, sort the values alphabetically with this part, ascending equal false. So we do it here because we want to know which continent has the greatest frequency in the data frame. In this case, that's North America, followed by Australia in 1 point. So for the conclusion, I combined all I've learned since week 1 to week 12 now. So I was able to perform all complete workflow and like loading data, cleaning it, analyzing, visualizing patterns, also finally applying the machine learn model to make the predictions. And the labs gave me all I need in terms of hands-on practice that made it possible to replicate everything independently in the assignment.